there, I'm Jules. Nice to see you. The word of the day today is satchel. Kind of like a fancy word for like a bag that you wear on your shoulder, I guess. If you'd like to know why satchel is the word of the day, watch my next video and then read the description to find out. Hi babes! We're gonna play Seduce Me again today. We are training for the Demon War. And Diana and her knight, I guess, are kind of having a thing together. So we're trying to help them with that. We'll see. I don't know how much help will really be, but time to train again. Okay, here we go. He placed a foot behind him and prepped himself into a stance. Wait, wasn't he going to materialize my weapons? How was I... Sado suddenly charged me, making me screech and dodge out of the way. What was he doing? Sado!
What are you waiting for? Summon your weapons!
What? He wasn't being serious, right? He expected me to use magic? That was impossible. As I managed to duck and dodge his attacks, my fingertips began to tingle. Energy rushed through my veins and under my skin, tickling my nerves. It was unnatural, but somehow I felt comfortable with it. Was this truly magic at work, or was I just nervous, not wanting to be skewered? Try it. I had to try. I jumped away from Sado and quickly closed my eyes, focusing on my hands. I needed my weapon. Within my hands formed two lavender orbs circling around my hands. They glistened before finally shifting and forming into the katars I was used to. Gripping it and feeling it physically in my hand, I smirked and turned back to Sado, bracing for another attack. Dodge! I bent back, watching the blade swipe over my body through the air. As I quickly straightened up, I noticed how open his body was for an attack. Like a repeated memory, I attacked him, clashing my weapons with his multiple times. The chime of our weapons smashing against each other rang through the room, the sound almost piercing my mind. It wasn't a noise I was ever going to be able to get used to. Like the last time, we trained for hours on end, stopping once or twice for a break. However, I could feel my body slowly getting used to the feeling of swinging a weapon and defending myself. At least I would be prepared in case something were to happen. As the sun began to set and the purple sky began to darken, we stopped once again for a third and most likely final break. Sado stretched and let out a small yawn as I did the same. I think I'm getting used to this. A chuckle escaped Sado's throat as he rose from one of his stretches. What stopped both of us from laughing was an echoed conversation in the hall, softly reverberating into the room. Huh?
Are you sure? Another kingdom wants to join the rebellion?
It would seem so. Diana isn't happy about it, though.
Why not? The leader of that kingdom is so handsome!
That voice is so grating.
He was indeed, but an alliance through marriage?
Oh, come on! You can't tell me I'm the only one who can see it! I can see them being a beautiful king and queen!
I don't think she will marry him, despite it being a wise choice.
She would be stupid not to.
Well, the last time she signed her life away to marriage, her entire family was killed off while she was away. I don't think she could ever let marriage control her again.
I guess... Man, the only person she has now is that guard.
My curiosity took hold of me and caused me to hug the wall near the door, listening in further. Sado, however, remained where he was, looking towards the ground.
I wonder how they met. He's not an incubus, but he's mega powerful.
He is indeed very skilled. I'm slightly jealous of her for having such a devoted guard.
Devoted? He's crazy! I've heard them talk in private before. He keeps saying that he's in love with her. Love!
Relax.
That is very odd. However, I wouldn't be surprised if her natural aura has affected him after years of servitude. I believe he's been with her since they were children, so that's over 100 years of protecting her and being close.
Yeah, he's probably just enthralled by her. She enthralls everyone she meets.
A pure-blooded succubus will do that. At least she's the only pure-blooded demon of Lilith in the world.
That we know of at least.
The conversation trailed off as the pair moved away from the room, and I looked back at Sado, seeing him grip his spear and grit his teeth. He didn't seem to like what Rabbit and Faye had to say. Sado? Are you okay? Sado looked up at me, a dull glaze over his eyes. From the expression on his face, I could tell that he had heard things like that before, but it still seemed to affect him emotionally. I frowned and walked over to him as he shook his head.
What they said about her marriage was true. When the Demon Lord's heirs left the demon world, my lady left to go after them. However, While she was gone, the Demon Lord attacked this castle.
Ooh. I watched as Sado gripped his spear even tighter than before, shutting his eyes and turning his head away from me almost in shame.
The Demon Lord's henchmen, the imp demons who brought you here, infiltrated our defenses and were able to reach the heart of the castle, where my lady's parents and unborn baby sister were hiding. Through some form of blood magic, they were able to break through the protective barriers around the room and...
He didn't need to explain. The heavy weight in my gut acknowledged what he was going to say before he could speak it. I looked to the floor, suddenly very sorry for Diana. She lost her entire family while she had been in the human world, trying to save them. It was too cruel. Sado let out a shaky sigh before he looked back up to me.
When my lady returned, she vowed to seek vengeance and destroy the Demon Lord's tyranny. She formed the rebellion, and now, here we are, readying ourselves for the final battle. Everyone only sees the hard-faced, cutthroat queen of the rebellion when they look at her, as if she were unable to love or care.
Sado reached up for his collar, where a beautiful purple rose charm hung. His fingers ran over the surface as he smiled to himself.
However, Isaiah is still the sweet and innocent girl I grew up with. She's still the woman who saved me and protected me from a fate worse than death. I know deep down that the love I feel for her is pure and true. I vowed to protect her with my life, and I will forever stand by that promise. It's just difficult to hope that one day things may change, and that the one you love may turn around and say they love you in return.
Oof. Sado, I'm sorry. I don't know what to say. I really wasn't sure what I could say. There were so many insurmountable things in his way that I wasn't sure if I was even able to help. I waited patiently until he finally took a deep breath and smiled at me.
Let's just continue, shall we?
I nodded, taking up my weapon again and preparing for our final sparring match. I entered my room, thinking about what Diana had said to me that morning. If I drained myself of energy, then the spirit wouldn't have the power to appear in my dreams. But did I want to do that? Eric appeared soon after, exhausted as ever. I continued to ponder as Eric sat down in bed and stretched.
Another long day. How was your day, love?
My mind continued to ponder. I had to make a choice. Did I care if the spirit appeared in my dreams? Okay. Here we go. The music changes. I needed rest without bizarre dreams. The spirit needed to stop controlling me and enticing me with its emotions. The question was, how to give Eric my energy. I could easily sleep with him and give him my energy through sex, but I wanted our sex to be about the mood, not a means to an end. I looked to Eric and stared, taking in every detail of him. Eric?
What is it?
Kiss me. Eric seemed confused for a brief moment, but eventually smiled, crawling towards me. I leaned forward and smiled as Eric's lips gently pressed against mine. He tasted absolutely sweet against my lips. It was almost intoxicating, the kiss he was bringing me under. I found that to not be fair of him, being that he was naturally an incubus with the ability to make me swoon. But every time he'd kiss me or just his ravishment on me made me forget the unfairness of the situation and allowed me to simply melt into the moment. I wrapped my arms around and pulled him close to me, causing us to fall back onto the bed with him over top of me. Slowly, everything became just about Eric and his love, letting me melt into the sensations we were exchanging. Hold up, but we're not having sex right now. It's okay. Okay. Eric, however, took the moment to pull away softly and stare down at me, looking for permission to continue in my eyes. I knew what I was getting into, so I smiled and pulled him back down to capture his lips again. It was sweet to know how considerate he was about the situation, but I was okay. Oh, are we actually? I let myself go into the moment, closing my eyes and wrapping my legs around Eric. He seemed to get the picture, wrapping an arm behind my arched back and scooting us up to lay with my head in the pillows. I might have to cut off. Okay, I'm gonna cut it off. I love you, my prince. The feelings of joy that rushed through me caused me to nuzzle into Eric's warm embrace, making him chuckle and kiss over my head, despite being tired himself. Still, the aura around our bodies was perfect for a peaceful passage to sleep. It was surprisingly a peaceful night. I woke up once again alone. However, I knew that Eric was off training. He seemed happy that he was getting back into the swing of it, despite only able to train for a short time before the final battle. However, as I got myself ready, a knock echoed at my door. Huh? Come in. The door opened to reveal a sight I did not expect at all. You! My heart froze in my chest at the man who presented himself at my door.
Huh? What's wrong?
What? Get away from me! I scrambled back away from the Demon Lord, instantly recognizing him. I found myself against the wall, grabbing the nearest object and chucking it at him. If this was going to turn into a fight, then I would attack after I beamed him with whatever I threw at him. To my surprise, a purple tendril stretched up from the ground in front of him and smacked the object away. How did he have Eric's power?
What the? Love, what's wrong?
Why was the Demon Lord calling me love? Calm down. Something was off. He wasn't attacking me or doing anything other than standing in place. His face was painted with worry as well, an expression I never would have imagined seeing on the Demon Lord. I held my head and closed my eyes, trying to calm down. This had to be the spirit's doing. Just another trick. Stop it.
Princess, what's going on?
I opened my eyes again to see Eric with a face etched with worry and panic. In the tentacle by his head was the object I had thrown at him, but he stood where the Demon Lord was. How? I buckled down onto my knees and curled over myself, wrapping my arms around my body. This was too frightening, too real. What was happening? I looked up to see the spirit, floating silently behind Eric before fading away. I knew it, but how was the spirit able to make Eric look like the Demon Lord? It was a twisted method if it was trying to get me to like it. Eric knelt down and gently wrapped his arms around me, nuzzling my head.
Shh. It's okay.
I barely noticed that I was shaking and whimpering. I couldn't really stop myself. The man who had trapped me here appeared before my eyes all of a sudden. Then he vanished into the man I swore to love. Eric kissed the top of my head.
The spirit must be playing tricks on you again. We'll remove it soon enough. I promise.
You better. I nodded, believing in what Eric said. This would only last a short while. Then the spirit would be gone. Maybe. As I arrived in the hall for training, I was surprised to see Diana in the room instead of Sero. Diana? Diana turned to me and crossed her arms, taking in my form.
You will be training with me today. I apologize for Sero's absence.
What do you mean? Where is Sero?
He asked to train on his own for the day. As he will be in the front lines of the siege, I granted him permission.
I pressed my lips together into a fine line, but nodded. If he was charging at the front, then it made sense that he'd want to take a day and work on himself. I held my hand out and summoned my weapon, ready to fight the queen of the rebellion head on. All right, then don't hold back. Diana nodded and prepped her stance, summoning her saber and bringing it back behind her. I had to use this new training partner as a new experience. Not everyone would fight like Sero, so this was a good challenge for me. Fighting with Diana was no easy task. She was quick and thought 10 steps ahead of me, catching me off guard at some points. Still, I could tell that I was putting up a good fight with my defense. What surprised me was how time passed by without even me noticing. The more I clashed with Diana, the more ignorant I became of the sky's eventual descent from light purple to dark orange. Soon enough, our training had ended. I panted, out of breath, but surprisingly still on my feet. I didn't understand how or why, but I could only assume that I was getting better, which was a good thing. Diana smirked as she relaxed, stretching back and making her saber vanish.
I will admit, dear, you've done well for just a handful of days.
Good. I grinned, happy to hear that I had impressed Diana with my skills. I only trained for a couple of days, but showed great improvement. Maybe the demon world was aiding me in becoming a stronger person. Thank you, Diana. Diana nodded before walking to the exit of the room.
Now, please excuse me. I must see to the boys. You are free to come with if you'd like.
I declined and left the room as well, towards the opposite direction, feeling my bed calling to me. Besides, I didn't want to be a distraction. Entering my room, I felt heavy. To think that I had attacked Eric that morning was horrifying. I could have hurt him. I didn't want to hurt him. Then again, I thought he was a demon lord. I had every reason to be frightened and try to fight. But if he had appeared for real, would I have been able to stop him? I was training, yes, but only to defend myself, not to kill anyone.
I can help, you know?
Huh? The spirit was enticing me again? The room around me felt frozen in time once again. You can help me with what?
With a lot of things, actually. If you want, I can give you really cool powers.
Why are you being so friendly?
Huh? I always wanted to help you.
The spirit was making little sense. I was already training and I was completely tired. I closed my eyes and looked away. I can take care of myself.
Well, if you need any extra power, let me know. I can keep nasty people away, just like last time.
I don't want your help.
But I really can keep you safe.
I'm keeping myself safe. Safe. Look, just leave me alone.
How long can you keep yourself safe?
I looked at the spirit somewhat insulted. Did it really doubt my ability to protect myself? What do you mean?
You're a human. Humans aren't as powerful as demons. Especially not the evil man.
The evil man. Before my eyes, the room around me shifted to the interior of a dungeon. I panicked, looking around while being trapped in place. Smoke slowly eased into the space from the dark corners, making me cough and wheeze. What was the spirit doing? Stop it!
Use my magic!
What? I felt a soft glow in my chest. For some reason, I felt calm, and the air became easier to breathe in. Was this the spirit's doing? Soon, fire began to peek in, and I was surrounded in flames. I wrapped my arms around myself, trying to lean away from the heat.
A human can't survive in the demon world, but I can help you. I can protect you.
Stop this vision now. This was getting ridiculous. How could this be happening? Was I somehow in a dream? This was out of control, and I needed to find some form of freedom. All of a sudden, the flames around me vanished, and I was back in my room, staring into the empty space with the spirit in the middle.
Why won't you let me help you? I'm stuck in your body.
I don't need your help. I have Eric. Those words slipped out. A brief silence followed before the spirit spoke again.
The icky man is related to the evil man, right?
Is he? Eric? That came out of nowhere. I nodded, knowing what she asked. Wait, is he? Eric is the Demon Lord's son. Oh! Oh! I didn't realize that. Oh, shoot. What? Was the spirit concerned that Eric was evil too? I'll defend him. Just because he's the Demon Lord's son doesn't make him a bad guy.
Does he really love you?
Why are you questioning this? I stared at the spirit, trying to see where that question was going. It was trying to sway me, so I smiled and nodded. Eric indeed loved me, more than anything. He does. I know it.
And if he doesn't? What if he's lying?
He wouldn't lie to me.
He could be. Demons always lie to get what they want. I was lied to.
You were?
Someone, a person, made a promise to protect me. But they didn't.
The room became darker and colder as the spirit began to suddenly cry. I felt horrible listening to it weep. Before I could comfort it, though, it vanished into the air, leaving me in the room as the time began to move forward once more. I let out a sigh and rubbed my head. This was getting ridiculous. When was I going to be free of the spirit? I was becoming more anxious by the day. Even as Eric came into the room, I felt my worry about the situation grow. I barely noticed as Eric finally entered the room. He slowly entered, most likely cautious from what had happened in that morning. As memories of what happened appeared in my mind, I couldn't help but frown. I had attacked him. The spirit was trying to make me hurt the man I loved, and I couldn't have felt more ashamed for falling for its trick. I looked up at Eric with sad eyes, surprising him as he closed the door at last behind him and walked to join me on the bed. Eric, I'm sorry.
Love, it's all right.
Eric wrapped his arms around me and nuzzled my head. I closed my eyes and relaxed into the embrace, feeling him gently drain me of energy. I didn't fight back. I felt no reason to.
I know it's not your fault.
But I still almost hurt you this morning. My guilt consumed me as I buried my face in Eric's chest. Eric, in reply, ran his hand over my head and held me close. I was upset, and I had every reason to be. I could only hope that the spirit would be taken out soon. The morning was filled with concern as Diana had gathered us into the war room urgently. Apparently, she'd found a way to expel the spirit from my body.
Are you sure this will work?
Indeed, this ritual is highly dangerous, but it should permanently sever the ties the spirit has on her body.
What do you need for this ritual? Is there a way to make it not as dangerous?
I've already looked into finding a safer method. The price for it is sadly too high to justify.
What is the price, then?
Let me deal with it when it comes. For now, we must prepare. Training today will be unnecessary. We need to prepare everything, and it will take a good majority of the day.
The day?
Indeed. However, once the spirit is severed, we can trap it and see why it was so keen on attaching itself to you.
It's strange. Why would a demon spirit pick a human to latch itself onto?
Good point.
Well, what are we waiting for? Let's get going!
What do we need to do?
You all need to be here in case something goes awry. As for you...
Diana looked to me and gestured to the table, which was cleared save for a small pillow.
Lie down, and I'll prepare the rest.
I nodded and walked to the table. Eric, being the gentleman he was, helped me up onto the surface. I gently leaned back and got comfortable, shifting the pillow beneath my head.
She will lock herself within her mind and speak to the spirit. If the spirit is angered enough, it will take over the body. Basically, we're going to force the spirit to gain complete control of her body.
I instantly sat up as everyone else turned toward Diana in shock.
And why would we want that?
Diana pressed her lips together, seeing the sudden flare of anxious anger around her before she turned to me.
Once the spirit has full control, then I will perform a spell that will rip it from your body, leaving it open for possession. Being that your soul will still be in the body, you'll regain full control after the fact.
Wait, so what happens if you accidentally pull her soul out?
That's what makes this spell dangerous. It takes a large amount of energy and will only work if everything goes smoothly. I won't know for sure whose soul I'll be pulling until you wake up.
Ooh.
You're not even sure it'll work.
That didn't ease my worries. Diana glared at Damien, who simply gave a cold stare back.
I would not suggest reading my mind again, bastard son.
Now's not the time to bicker. We need to make sure this goes smoothly.
If it goes wrong, the spirit could absorb her soul.
What?
I suddenly froze in place. The spirit could absorb me? What do you mean? Diana sighed and crossed her arms, pressing her lips together once again. However, her eyes made it clear that she believed this ritual would work.
The spirit within you is a very powerful being, despite it being a child. It is a demon, but we don't know what kind of demon it is. So we have to assume that it is the worst kind. A soul eater.
A soul eater?
A very rare breed of demon who feeds on both energy and souls. It doesn't matter what kind of soul it is, as long as it's a soul, it's edible.
They're only as powerful as the souls they absorb, which makes them the worst kind of demon.
But didn't they die out long ago?
As I said, we don't know if it is one or not, but we have to assume that it is for safety.
Diana glared daggers into my soul, as if she was trying to glare at the spirit within me instead. Or maybe she wished to instill fear into me. I couldn't tell.
It will offer you power, but if you take it, then it will absorb your soul in exchange. The wording of its offer will grant the demon full power over your body, making it the owner.
Eric gently took my hand and looked at me with more than concern burning in his eyes. He was worried and scared. I gently caressed his cheek. I needed to not only comfort myself, but I needed to show Eric that everything would be all right. Sure, there were doubts about this whole ordeal, but I needed to do this. Eric gently held my hand and kissed over my knuckles, slowly calming down. It would be all right. I had to mentally prepare. I closed my eyes and took a few deep breaths before looking to Diana. I'm ready. Diana nodded as I slowly leaned back and relaxed once again on the table. Eric still held my hand, waiting to be told to let go. Surprisingly, Diana didn't request it of him.
Keep holding her hand. If something happens, you must get into her mind and aid her.
Eric nodded, as did I. Diana hovered a hand over my face, my gaze pinned on her palm. What was she doing?
Close your eyes and sleep. This will seem like moments for you, but it will be hours for us.
I nodded and closed my eyes. Almost as soon as I closed my eyes, some sort of energy began to take hold of me. Was this Diana's doing, or the spirit's? My nerves began to tingle, and my body felt light as a feather. Energy ebbed and flowed through my body, and I felt like I was falling through water. The space around me became thick with calm and almost emptiness. Was this a forced dream?
I know what you want to do.
Finally, the spirit made itself known. The space around me brightened to reveal a patch of forest. The image of my surroundings flickered and swayed slightly, reminding me that this was only an illusion in my head. In the center of the space, however, appeared the spirit in its orb shape. Would I ever see what the spirit actually looked like? I finally walked over and stood before the spirit. We're doing this so you can get out of my body.
But what if I don't want to leave?
I suddenly became afraid. The spirit didn't want to leave? The air became cold as the spirit bobbed up and down in place casually.
In here, I'm safe from the evil man. He can't find me here, and he can't hurt me.
But you don't belong in my body. The spirit was unfazed by my words, spinning around itself once.
I don't belong anywhere. I don't have a home to go to.
But this is my body. The spirit circled around my form in observation.
I can help you, though. I really, really can.
I'm not listening anymore.
No, listen, I can. I can protect you from being hurt. Really.
The forest began to quake and suddenly shifted to a side I hadn't seen in a while. My heart suddenly became light as I gazed at the room around me. My room.
My dear.
Suddenly I felt a pair of arms wrap around me. They felt like snakes, slowly sliding along my body, with one across my chest and the other around my waist. Both pressed my back tightly against a warm and somehow familiar body. I felt disgusted by the act, but found no strength to fight back. A head caressed my shoulder and the side of my neck with a tortuously slow touch.
My sweet, delicious bride-to-be. You'll spoil a demon such as me.
Eric?
I can help you fight him off.
This was an illusion. This was some sort of trick to make me believe in the spirit. I knew it, but the fear within my body became real as Eric's fingers danced over my body. I didn't want this. A warm glow in my chest began to pulsate as a lavender wave of energy pushed against the arms around me.
What the?
Use my magic. Get him off of you.
On its own, the magic in my chest burst forth, forming a barrier around my body and pushing the illusionary Eric away from me. I barely turned in time to see the image fade like dust blown away by wind. I never imagined seeing Eric vanish before my eyes, but I became witness to the illusion of it, causing my heart to feel torn. I felt tears collect in my eyes, but my mind became chaotic. What was I doing? Stop it! I knew what was happening. The spirit was trying to show me an example. I wouldn't let it influence me. My scream echoed and shook the room.
Princess!
The image around me quickly reformed to the forest from before, and I watched as Eric appeared from the brush. The spirit quickly moved to be near my side as Eric glared at the spirit.
That's enough!
No! I won't do it!
Eric's glare could almost kill. As his ethereal tendrils appeared around him, the spirit began to pulse defensively.
Then you leave me no choice.
Eric lunged forward and charged at the spirit, faster than I had ever seen him move. The spirit put up a large barrier around itself, similar to the barrier it had on me when Sero tried to expel it. Eric's tendrils, in rapid succession, began to jab and slam themselves into the barrier, attempting to break it.
No!
I had to stop this. I didn't want the spirit to get hurt, but I didn't want Eric to get hurt either. Stop it! I ran for them, needing them to stop. The spirit needed to be angry, but not like this.
Princess, stay back!
I won't do it! No!
The barrage continued without mercy.
Listen to me! I can help you! Don't do this!
With each strike Eric threw at the spirit, the barrier quaked and pulsed with energy. Over and over, the sound of magic clashing reverberated through the space we were in, making the imagery around us vibrate. Eric's face hardened into a look of pure determination and anger. He truly wished to help me and protect me. But the spirit was still a child. What was I going to do? We had to make it take control. Attack the spirit or let Eric keep going. Let Eric keep going. I couldn't step in. I didn't want to hurt the spirit, but enough was enough. Eric was more than willing to help me rid my body of it. I watched as Eric brutally showered the spirit with strikes from his tendrils. The orbs kept defending itself, not wanting to die. I soon had to look away, no longer wanting to see anymore. Oh. As the final blow made impact with the spirit, a rush of bright light engulfed the area. As it did, I felt my form spasm and flicker, causing me to look down at my hands. Through the blinding light, I could see them trembling as they slowly began to turn transparent. What the? I looked up to see Eric rushing for me, panic written all over his face. What was happening? I began to run for him as his body began to glow a deep purple and red color. Eric! Within seconds, Eric reached me and wrapped his arms firmly around me, surrounding us both in a red glow. I felt safe, and the transparency in my hands faded away.
I've got you! Don't let go of me!
I nodded and gripped Eric tightly, feeling something try to pull me away. I shut my eyes, focusing on staying close to Eric. Digging my nails into his vest and shirt, I pulled myself against Eric's chest. My breath felt as if it were trying to escape from my lungs, but Eric gently moved a hand to tilt my head and cover my mouth with his. I felt him breathe and replace the air I had lost, desperate to keep me alive. Was I dying? At last, the pull on me stopped and the world around us grew dark. The forest was gone. The spirit was gone. We were safe. As Eric pulled away and looked down at me with a small, slow smile, I felt happy and relieved. I had been saved from whatever the spirit tried to do, and I was thankful to him for rescuing me when I needed him. I might have been strong, but being in Eric's arms always made me feel stronger. Eric and I collapsed into each other, closing our eyes and escaping the depths of my mind at last. I wanted to rest a while longer. I felt my body slowly come back to life as I awakened, as if from a dream. My eyes were blinded by the light of the room, but slowly adjusted so that I could see everyone staring at me in relief.
She did it.
I did it.
They did.
Oh my stars and garters.
I slowly sat up, rubbing my head and looking around. From everyone's faces, no one had rested. How long had we been out? As I thought of Eric, I looked to my side to see him slowly rising from his sleep as well, still holding my hand. I smiled, remembering how he had sat by my bedside the day Diana came for him. Nostalgia hit me hard as I pulled Eric gently to me and wrapped my arms around him.
Love?
I'm here, Eric. My heart felt like singing 1,000 songs. This was all too amazing, and I was as joyful as could be. There was no hint of the spirit left within my body, and I could tell that everything was all right now. I was free to show Eric how much I loved him. Eric wrapped his arms around me and buried his face in my neck, relieved as well.
I'm so happy.
Me too. I ignored the giggles and sighs around us. All I cared about was Eric in that moment. Diana, however, wasn't so subtle in wanting to interrupt our moment. Eric and I looked over at Diana, seeing her exhausted expression. From her eyes, I could tell she'd spent a lot of energy, and I was responsible for that.
Glad to see that it worked, and that you two are okay. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must rest.
Diana said nothing more as she turned to leave the room. I stopped her. Diana! Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
With that, Diana and the other rebel leaders left the room, leaving the incubi and their wives with us.
Still, we should take some time to do some last-minute training and preparations before heading to bed. We leave first thing in the morning.
Everyone nodded in agreement. I, however, felt the events that had just occurred weigh me down, and I tiredly lowered my head. I'll just head to the room, if that's all right.
Huh? All right. I'll be there soon.
I nodded and waved to the others before heading towards my room and making my way to the bed that called my name. I finally reached my room and let my body fall onto the bed. I let out a sigh of utter pleasure as I felt the cloud-like pillow cradle my body on its surface. I was beyond happy. To think this insanity had started with a spirit haunting my body was mind-blowing. How was that even possible? No one would ever believe that it happened to me. That of all people. That it happened to me of all people. Then I was kidnapped and taken to the demon world by the demon lord, trapped here unless he or I died. Another crazy, improbable event that managed to happen. This entire week had become a wild roller coaster of excitement that I would have never expected. Still, there was joy to be found in adventure, and my curiosity thanked destiny for letting me experience it. Now all I wanted to do was get home and marry the man I loved. As Eric finally entered the room at last, I smiled and sat up tiredly. Eric chuckled before sitting beside me and wrapping his arms around me.
Are you all right, Princess?
Yeah, just tired. We held each other, locked in silence and unable to say anything more. We let the situation we had just gone through sink in, relieved that we were going to be happy from now on together. All we could do in the moment was hold each other and listen to our synchronized heartbeats. As the thought of tomorrow danced in my head, I began to grow fearful. Was I ready to go into battle? Was Eric? Were any of us, for that matter? We were about to walk into the final clash of a world war. Would we survive? Would I live to remain with Eric and feel his embrace again? Tomorrow brought too many questions to think about, and I became frustrated and scared. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. I'll just cut it out for the second time. I needed to hold him and treat the night like it was our last. Tomorrow was unpredictable, but tonight was guaranteed. Exactly my point. Exactly my point. Oh, God. There's pictures. Okay. I ran my hands over his vest and looked up into Eric's eyes, see his meet mine in a loving gaze. He seemed to understand silently exactly what I wanted as he gently leaned in and kissed me. See you later. I love you. I will always love you. Eric smiled and nuzzled me before pulling me against his body, giving me his chest as a pillow to rest on. I gladly took it, nuzzling him and listening to the sound of his beautiful heartbeat pounding in his chest. His heartbeat pounded for me. I could hear the love beat in each pulse, and it made a smile dance over my skin. I became confident and filled with determination, ready for the day to follow. Tomorrow would decide everything. Okay, I'm gonna stop it there because I feel like this is gonna be a big thing and I don't want it to go super long. So we gotta end the sex scene right there. Woo! I hope you had fun. I had fun. I'm gonna keep going. We're gonna fight the Demon Lord. We're gonna win. And then we're gonna go on to the episodes, or episodic thing, the third game. I don't know what it's called. But I will see you later.